Hey Rod. So the last time we talked with you about the small data and the soft data, and I mentioned that quite important part of the soft data is your thoughts, ideas, and your view on the world and all other things, and that it could have the insane value for the artificial intelligence and your personal assistants and so on. And today we will get back for I don't know, maybe almost 30 years back, and we will talk about the quite interesting domain of the small and soft data. It's a personal knowledge. And actually, so it's even longer story that I talk in my shorts that, first time in a caveman make the picture somewhere in a cave and to figure out that he could, share the information with others. And after that, we invent the written language, printed books blow it up, entire concept of the knowledge because it was super easy to spread. And in some point in Renaissance, but maybe much earlier, but in Renaissance it became extremely popular that people start using the tools like notebooks and written language for the personal notes. And it started the revolution. It started the revolution because it's not something that printed for everybody. You was able to to keep some fraction of it for yourself, yeah, because we had the printed books, but maybe they super expensive, maybe some other reasons. It's my personal story, to be honest, so I was the kid in a independent Ukraine when everything just failed, and we have no money for the books, and my dream was to work in a bookstore as a sailor, because then you could read the books for free. And when I came to the public library, you could not take the book with you. You maybe could make some notes, and you couldn't even touch this book, as your personal one to make the notes and so on. And I invented my own system of the common books, where you try to make some note, but it's super inconvenient if you will just try to copy the text, because it will take a lot of time and you don't have this time. And I, as a kid, I was not even teenager, maybe I was 10 or 12, just realized that if I could grasp the summary of what I read, or most interesting parts, or make some kind of sketch between the written text and maybe some schema and some weird stuff that I will figure out a couple of years after that they are the mind maps, then it worked much better. And in some point I figured out that my notes about the different topics from the different books could correlate with each other, so I start making the reference between them and so on. So I built my own naive schema, but it was extremely productive actually. And it's what happens that we make knowledge personal, and we start producing the knowledge and our own view on the knowledge of ourselves. And in some point I figure out, when I get the personal computer, that right now I have all these books, I have all the information in the internet, and it's super easy to keep everything, just the gigabytes of this information. But for me it was practically the garbage. So how many times you get to this situation that you have so many things on your computer and so many things to read that you're not able to find the paragraph that you were so keen about. And all this bring us to personal knowledge management systems, and it was gazillions of them. And for example, I figure out something that our brain is not linear, the linear nodes are not working so well, and I get back to my this naive common books approach, but this time I read the book about the mind maps. And mind maps was this graph radial structures full of color, full of pictures, and the most mind-blowing things that you have some kind of concept that you connect with the links, describe the links. It was super cool, but the problem is that you could not keep the big amount of information on it. Yeah, so you could keep some maybe word or two and build some associations, color code something, make some pictures. It was cool, but it was cool for the brainstorming, but it was not so cool for processing the long pieces of data. And I start my research after the mind maps. I figure out something more complex that was called the concept map, and concept map is closer to the graph, that is not radial. You just connect the big blocks of text with the explanation and create the relations, and it was working much better. And after that I find some cool software like the brain and the concept of the second brain and all other things, and it's helped a lot. But every time when I try to build something around this, it was the vendor locked and it was not so extendable. Practically the best one that I found at the end was actually the Zettelkasten and Lumens concept of this independent nodes that you make on cards. You could fine grain the nodes, you have the different type of nodes for different purposes, you create the links, and the best exercise that you have, that you interact with system every day, you see the new relations between the new information, and you enrich the graph that you have with the newer and newer links. And the best application for this actually was not the original Zettelkasten application that a lot of quite cool people built, because Lumens Zettelkasten was completely offline actually, and you could even try to build something like that. It's quite interesting. And I figured out that some kind of Obsidian that have the backlinking worked the best, or the LoxaQ. It was super cool, but I still lacking one big feature on these systems, that you have no possibility to describe the context of your backlinks and to name it, to give some meta information and so on. And for years, practically for 20 years, I was looking for some kind of system of the personal knowledge management. And finally, when I find the research that talk about this Lumens as a personal knowledge graph, I get a lot of enlightenments in this area, and I still believe that the best personal knowledge management system is the some combination of the superpower of the knowledge graphs and the hierarchical summarization. So the main idea that you could not just throw the information to your system, you need to write your own thoughts, or use the personal artificial intelligence agent that really could write this summary on behalf of you with your view and beliefs and all other things. So it's the separate topic. We will talk about this maybe in my different video. But the idea that you operate only with your personal ideas based on some other information, and you always keep the link, and you have the full power of the knowledge graphs. But right now we don't have this tool. So I'm building right now with the team a personal assistant called Kin, and in a Kin we have this concept of the personal knowledge graphs, and personal knowledge graphs is much complex than the mind map. It's much complex than concept maps. It still have this idea that you have an entity that connected with other entity with some kind of relation, but it's more complex because these entities, like the concepts, they have a label, like I don't know, Volodya and Kin, and the connection work on Kin. But to these entities you could give a lot of meta information. So for example, the time information, the place information, and so on. So it's what we was doing in a mind maps, where we try to color code. We just try to create some properties that our brain able to interpret it. But with the personal knowledge graphs, we enrich the entities with the information that maybe some artificial intelligence or smart algorithms or the query languages will benefit. For example, we combine the personal knowledge graph together with the semantic and vector search, and one of these super cool properties is the vector embeddings that allow us to find the proper information based on your query, that based on your natural language and so on. So the personal knowledge graph, they get a lot of cool benefits of this mind map and concept map, but they leave them on the next level, that your knowledge somehow semantically connected to each other, and it's condensed the knowledge heavily, because when you get the new knowledge, you don't start from scratch. You just take a look to your graph database, identify already existing connections, and just embed it to already existing connections in the context. And what's more important, that you could take your knowledge graph and analyze it and discover some new connections, new ideas, new inspirations. But the biggest challenge is that right now, for my personal needs, I use several tools that could give me these capabilities. And right now we're building Keen that will bring these capabilities to the user in a much convenient and more transparent way, that you don't need to learn the complex data science and graph knowledge and so on. So you could just talk with your personal assistant, and this personal assistant will build this graph for you. So I made a huge journey from this small book, handwritten in a library somewhere in Ukraine, to the powerful personal knowledge graph management systems with some super scary things like the SparkQL, RTF, and all of this stuff that data scientists love. But right now, I believe that the artificial intelligence and the personal agents, they will help us to replace all these super complex tools with just the natural language interface, that we could talk and get all these benefits for ourselves. So if you're interested in a personal knowledge graph space and the soft data and all those things, just let me know. If you want to try how all this magic works for you just on your phone, register in mykeen.ie and get the part of our beta and discover it yourself. So that's all that I was keen to share with you. Choose.